Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're a client of ours, a friend, or just a local business leader, we really appreciate you being on here with us. So like I said, we'd love for you to engage with us, ask questions if you have them. If it's relevant to the slide that Lindsay's currently on, I'll interrupt her and see if we can get those questions answered. Otherwise, I'll save it till the end. There will be a prize wheel at the end. You must be present to win, so stick around for that. I am Jasmine with CorKat Data Solutions. We're based out of Loveland here locally, so you might be somewhere in the northern Colorado area or down in Denver, south of Denver. But like Lindsay said, we're just happy to have a bunch of Colorado businesses on the call today. And now I'd like to introduce Lindsay. She's a partner of ours with Breach Secure Now, and today she's going to cover the current AI threat landscape, AI readiness, training for your team, as well as best practices for small to medium businesses. So go ahead and kick us off, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. And I'm super excited to do this. As you know, you've heard me talk about AI probably a little too much. So like I said, I'm really excited to get to bring it to some Colorado-based businesses and see how we can start streamlining your guys' efficiencies. Or maybe if you've been a little hesitant to use AI, how we can kind of start getting your feet wet and show you some safe ways to start exploring it, but also what you can kind of look out for in the case that maybe sometimes it can be used against you as well. Alrighty, so today we're talking about AI. There are two types of AI. We have structured AI and generative AI. So what I want to kind of point out and what we're going to be focused mostly on today is going to be generative AI. So these are going to be tools that are used to help humans. So these are tools that are going to make us more productive. They're going to help us do research. They're going to help us write data analysis, increase our communication skills. So we're not talking about structured, which is going to be those autonomous cars, those robot dogs that are fighting fires out for us, and actually, unfortunately, Colorado, California, and Canada. We're not talking about self-driving. We're talking about the idea of the human element still being incorporated in AI. So we're not eliminating humans, no autonomous agents, nothing like that. We're talking about how AI can help us do functions for our employees on a day-to-day basis. So when you think about generative AI, it needs humans to make it better. It has to have the human element. It needs us to talk to it, to prompt it. We have to receive what it's saying to us. We then have to validate what it's saying, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And then we have to provide it feedback, because right now AI is in a stage where it still does need us to tell it if it's right or wrong. At the end of the day, a lot of people think AI is this huge buzzword that's just started, but we've actually been using it for a lot longer than you think. Think about Siri and Alexa. They've probably been in your house for years. On top of that, a few examples of generative AIs that you probably have been using are going to be ChatGPT, Claude, Gamma AI, which I use for building presentations, Canva, which I know Jasmine also uses, but great for marketing pieces, Grammarly, Google Gemini, Perplexity, Facebook or Meta has its own AI as well. So these are going to be all the types of AI that are going to be used by people, whether they're telling you or not. So employees or yourselves on a day-to-day basis that can actually help increase your business efficiencies. But at the same time, there is another element to AI, and that's going to be the threat of it. Because at the end of the day, we all know cyber criminals are going to start using it against us some way. So if it's making our employees more productive, it's probably also making them more productive. So generative AI and cybercrime. I came across a really interesting statistic that I thought would really relate, because I talk to a lot of small and medium businesses all the time, and even enterprise size. And the one thing that I hear that's not different is how they're seeing the attacks happen to them these days. And it's always phishing and business email compromise. So the statistic that I came across says almost 3/4 of organizations report rising cyber risks, with generative AI fueling more sophisticated social engineering and ransomware attacks. It's going to make it a lot easier for these criminals to be able to guess our next actions and simulate our loved ones even. But 42% of small and medium businesses saw an uptick in phishing incidents in 2024. I hear that a lot, and I also hear business email compromise. So somebody logging in, posing as somebody else in the business, trying to get a financial transaction through in order to benefit from it. Some other emerging cybersecurity challenges that we're seeing in AI these days are going to be social engineering. My husband actually went through something recently where a few years ago I was working in downtown Denver. I would run during lunch. He's not usually the type of person who answers an unknown call. For some reason that day he decided he wanted to because he knew I was running downtown during lunch. He answers it, and there's a woman crying on the other end saying her ankle is broken. A guy gets on and says, hey, I have your wife. She says her ankle's broken. I'm taking care of her, but you're gonna owe me X amount of money. Luckily, he was smart enough to hang up and call me. But think about how sophisticated that attack had to be. They had to have known I ran during or worked in Denver, ran during lunch, or at least it was a good enough guess. And then to get a woman crying on the other end, that was AI. On top of social engineering and phishing, which are going to be the two that we're going to have to really cope with mostly, we have malware and ransomware, and that's going to be something your business is going to have to handle. AI-powered malware can actually modify its behavior to avoid detection by different security technologies. So it can be used to optimize ransomware assaults and increase their impact even more than what we've seen today. Deepfakes, this is something you've actually probably already seen, hopefully more in a joke format, but these are going to be images and videos, audio, which are edited and generated basically using AI tools that depict real or non-existent people. So it's synthetic media. One of the most famous situations that's happened recently is an employee got on a call with who they thought was their CEO. They were on camera, video, the audio was perfect, and they asked them to make a transaction of $25 million. That money went out on a wire. Once a wire is gone, it's gone. And at the end of the day, when the CEO went back to kind of talk to that employee about day-to-day stuff, he mentioned the financial transaction, and that's when they realized what's happened. So deepfakes are becoming more and more real. Data breaches have always been an issue, but data breaches are something that we need to be careful about. If I'm an employee and I'm using my personal ChatGPT account because I don't want you, my employer, to know that I'm writing my emails using it, well, if I wake up one day and I decide to put our algorithm in it, and that algorithm's our bread and butter, and ChatGPT gets breached, it's gone. Or God forbid, I'm dumb enough to leave my phone on the counter and somebody steals my chat history, our algorithm is also gone. So you have to be very careful about what you're putting into AI, because in the case that it does get breached, especially those free systems, it's going to be out there. A final one is going to be modeled vulnerabilities. That's not something that we're really totally going to have to worry about too much, but basically what it means is that different AI models themselves can be manipulated and exploited by hackers and cyber criminals as well. So I'm not here to scare you. At the end of the day, there are some practical strategies that you can use to help mitigate a lot of these risks. AI is real, it's here to stay. So embracing these strategies sooner rather than later is going to be your safest way to kind of start getting ahead of that curve. Eventually, we are going to start seeing a lot of government regulations coming down for AI, and not only AI itself, but for your business regarding AI, and even for CorKat and your managed service providers also regarding AI. So these are a few strategies that we like to teach that will help you guys start to mitigate some of those AI security risks. First off, you need to start with aligning all your AI initiatives with your overall cybersecurity strategy. At BSN, we talk a lot about creating a cybersecurity culture, and that starts with you guys believing in training and investing in your systems, softwares, and your hardwares to make sure that you're protecting your business as a whole. Honestly, if you're a client of CorKat's currently, you actually have probably checked most of the boxes for these. So implement strong authentication. That's going to be multi-factor authentication. So that super annoying thing when you try to log in and you have to get your cell phone and then you have to click, yes, it's me, I'm in Colorado. That's MFA, and that's super important because that's what's going to be keeping your data the most safe. On top of that, data encryption. Obviously, that's going to be what's going to be able to make sure that no one, if they get the data, can break the code and actually read what the data has. But that's another element that sometimes can be really hard for medium businesses or small businesses even to reach. Constant security audits. Super important to just make sure that people have access to only what they need to have access to, nothing more, and that you're regularly checking that your systems and your softwares are up to date, as well as that your employees and your teams are following policies and procedures to make sure that everything is under control. So on top of that, it's really important to create a really strict AI policy and procedure, or at least clear controls for AI development and AI use at your company. So covering aspects like data handling, if you're allowing people to use different types of models, so Perplexity and ChatGPT, different model testing, and then, like I mentioned before, access management. So only allowing them to have access to what they need to have access to, not giving the entry-level intern the entire algorithm, that's our bread and butter, and then allowing them to go put it into their personal AI. On top of that, it's important to regularly assess and update not only your AI security posture, but all of your systems. Keeping all of your systems up to date is going to be the best way to make sure that you're staying up to keeping up with evolving threats. On top of this is my little plug for CorKat again. If you are looking for a spot that you can kind of start where it comes with AI, CorKat has an AI acceptable use policy that they've written that we believe is absolutely incredible. It can be customized for your business as well. So if there's parts of it you love or parts you hate, we can go ahead and adjust those. We can even include the different AIs that you're allowing your teams to use. So if you're kind of looking for a first step in something, an AI acceptable use policy is a great action because it's going to protect your business and your employees while they're either using it if you've given them permission to do that, or by not using it. And then if they choose to, you have something you can kind of fall back on that said, hey, we did not approve this. So on top of strict policies and procedures, and then of course training and making sure you're staying up to date with the latest AI trends, one thing that Breach Secure Now and CorKat came together to build was an AI intelligence readiness innovation assessment. So what this is supposed to do is this is really supposed to help you guys kind of simplify the conversation with us on how you can start incorporating AI into your daily business operations. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure you wear 85 hats at your job because you have a lot of moving parts and you're running a business. So to sit down and take an assessment, you're probably like, hey, Lindsay, I don't know if I got time for that. We know that. And so we made this assessment super, super short. So this should not take you any more than 10 minutes. And the cool part about this assessment is it's going to cover the core six core functions of your business. And that's going to be marketing, HR, sales, customer support and operations, finance, and then a competitive analysis compared to what your business is doing versus other businesses similar to yours in the market today. At the end, it provides a really nice comprehensive score that shows you how ready you are to kind of implement AI or how it can help streamline efficiencies in your organization with different types of AIs. My favorite part about it is at the end, it gives you a really nice report that makes real life suggestions on how you can start incorporating AIs and which ones to start incorporating into your day-to-day business structure. Training. So one of my favorite statistics that we say at BSN, and it's tried and true, is 95% of data breaches are caused by human error. So that's me being the employee that thinks I can win a contest that I didn't enter, or me clicking on a link because for some reason I thought that barbecue was legit, even though our team's never had a barbecue. So training is something that we believe is going to be the most important part, especially as AI is starting to get its arms sort of around itself and around the world. 66% of organizations see AI as the biggest cybersecurity game changer this year, but only 37% have safeguards in place on the tools for their employees to use. So with it being such a huge buzzword and such a huge growth opportunity, if you're not taking the time to talk to your employees if they're using it or about using it or making some decisions on if you want them to use it, then you're already going to be behind the gun when it comes time to go ahead and start incorporating it for other aspects of your business. So as your business owner, you're going to want to think about getting your employees trained on how to use it safely and effectively if you're choosing to let them use it. And even if you're not. So if you're an employee on the other side of it, I love that we actually use AI internally at Breach Secure Now. We were required to read 2 books before we were allowed to have a license, which talked about the ethics of AI and how to use it safely, on top of taking our own AI trainings internally. But it made me really feel like I was able to upskill myself and make myself relevant in a market that a lot of people are scared AI is going to take their jobs. So at the end of the day, I kind of like to compare it to the internet or Excel. So if you use Excel and you give Excel to somebody who's never used it, as you know, Excel is one of the most powerful tools. If you don't understand rows and columns though, or understand the basics of writing a formula, Excel is obsolete to you. You might as well be clicking on a calculator or trying to manually do it in Word. AI is going to be the same thing. Similar to all the tools we use today, AI requires continuous learning, just like Excel, just like Word, just like how you're using your softwares, your Canvas, all your different things and tools that make your operations work the way they work. And if you're not going to get a real good understanding of wrapping your hands around how you can use it safely and securely or how it can be used against you, you risk the part of that human element of it being used against you. So how can we help you start to get your hands right around AI and start training your teams? CorKat and BSN have not only created the AI Readiness Innovation Assessment, but as your first step, we also have created an AI fundamentals training. Like I mentioned earlier, I understand that taking your staff off the floor or yourselves out of your 5 positions that you have to do every day, it's a cost analysis and it's not easy to do. So we try to keep all of our trainings under 20 minutes. So this is a 15-minute training. This training is going to teach you the basics of AI. So what is a chatbot? How would I talk to AI if I wanted to start talking to AI? What is AI? What limitations does AI have? What does the future look like for AI? And what's the difference between using AI for a business use versus a personal use? On top of this training, we also feed employees or users who are taking the training small nanos. So these are small Instagram-like reels that keep you current on different ways you can use AI to not only be more productive and more efficient, but also different scams that we're seeing AI be incorporated into that are getting more sophisticated and how you can protect yourselves against them. On top of fundamentals training, we think it's really, really important to explore the cybersecurity aspect of AI. So we have a secondary class that looks at only that point. It's broken into 2 parts, and again, should not take anyone more than 15 minutes to complete. So the first part is going to be, how do you use AI securely? So making sure I don't cause a data breach, making sure I'm not going to expose information, but that what I'm putting in is actually helping me be more productive. And if something did happen where that was breached, it's not going to actually affect my business or myself. The second portion is, how do criminals use AI? So the deep fakes, how are they using it to create more targeted phishing emails, and how can I protect myself against those? How are they using it to deliver different malwares or to sophisticate ransomware attacks? And how can I make sure that CorKat and I have talked about the correct systems and processes and procedures to put in place to protect me from that, or if it happens, to recover from it? So it's really important to understand how criminals are using it, not only to make themselves more productive, but also how can we make sure that we are prepared to defend ourselves if we are a victim of that target. And so we wanted to make sure we left you with some basics. So if you do decide you want to start your AI journey today, or if you already have started your AI journey, I just want to reiterate that if you're using AI, you have to use it safely and securely. Companies need to have AI policies and procedures in place. You need to have AI training to make sure your employees know what they can and cannot enter, and on top of it, what can be used against them as far as AI goes. You want to verify and make sure that the data that AI is putting out is accurate. At the end of the day, AI does hallucinate, is our friendly way of saying it. It makes a lot of mistakes, and it does still need that human element of feedback. So just because you put something into AI and it says something, do not take that to the truth. We've seen a lot in the news recently about people who have put court depositions and things into AI, and now they're seeing serious repercussions because they didn't think before they decided to copy and paste or talk. So make sure you verify that anything that it says is accurate. At the end of the day, it's really important to take a look at AI and say, how can it help me? But at the same time, I'm a human, and it still needs the human element, and I don't want it to take my job, and I don't want it to over-validate everything. So the best thing that I can do is teach it and train it to help me and make sure I'm more productive and validate everything it's saying so that I can provide proper feedback to make sure that it is going to give us more real answers. So at the end of the day, if you do decide you want to start with your AI journey or not, these are a couple best practices that we like to say. So just make sure you're not putting proprietary information, so data protection, into your AI. Engage in any trainings. You guys have already taken the first step by sitting on this webinar today, and we thank you for that. Keep talking to your teams and make sure it doesn't become this hidden thing, because if your employees are using it, you want to know. It's going to protect you, them, and your business so much more if you do. Verify the information. It does lie. And then finally, update everything regularly. So not only your AI tools themselves and their softwares need to be updated to stay more secure, but all of your internal softwares, hardwares, keep everything as updated as possible, because these AI attacks are going to be moving very quickly. And the more that you can lean into CorKat to keep everything safe, the better off that you're going to be. So I'll end it with, if you have any questions on AI moving forward, how or where to get started, please reach out to me, Jasmine, Dallas, Chris, Jay, anyone on the CorKat team. We can all get you started in the right direction, or at least start kind of answering some of those questions if you have hesitations about using AI. And Jasmine, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great job, Lindsay. So we have one question in the chat so far. Will we be sharing this slide deck with you all? And I did say, yes, of course we will. And this is recorded. So thank you all for being here. If you have any other questions for Lindsay, please drop them in the questions chat. I'm sorry you're not able to use the actual chat box, but questions are coming through. I've got a few of them so far. Anything in particular about best practices or staying secure or anything like that? Any questions? While we wait for those to come in, I'll just say a little, no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Jasmine, the one I'll get a lot actually, and I think you've heard this at some of the other presentations we've actually done in person, is which one do I start with? And a lot of people will lean into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is great for helping write emails. Actually, it helped me write a recommendation letter for my niece to get into a private school. It's really great for creating content, but when you're evaluating which AI you want to start with, think about what your biggest problem is. So for me, I do a lot of presenting. So my biggest problem is creating presentations. So I use Gamma AI. But if your biggest issue is research, you're going to want to lean into Perplexity. So just a few ideas to kind of get you started as you start navigating where you want to begin that journey. Go ahead, Jasmine, sorry.
No, that's all right. I used to use ChatGPT a lot, but when I was first using it for marketing, it seemed a little stiff and like the language wasn't what I would normally say, and that's not like how we want CorKat to sound either. So you kind of have to use it as a template and then fine tune the wording to sound like you or to sound like your business. Since then, I've actually started using Microsoft Copilot. And what I really like about that is that it ties in with the other Microsoft products. So like Lindsay was just saying, if you're working on a presentation slideshow, you can use Copilot to tie in with the Microsoft presentation tool as well. So I really like that. And the content that I've gotten from Copilot has been a lot cleaner too. It just sounds more natural, and it learns your voice over time. You know, you're giving it prompts of what you want, and you can say who your audience is and what the purpose of the content is for, and then say, you know, we want to sound like a local tech educator, you know, someone that's safeguarding the community, and then it's going to change the voice to kind of like match that tone. So yeah, it's been great using those so far. I'm sure there's so many others out there to use. So we'd love to hear, you know, what's working, what's not working, and just how to stay safe using it, making sure your employees are using it correctly. And we have AI readiness tools and training that we can offer you if you don't have something already. So feel free to reach out to us here at CorKat. Aside from the AI training, there's also cybersecurity training, IT help desk support, cloud services. We have a data center right here in Loveland, and then one down in Colorado Springs as well. And then just overall business consulting and vendor management. I know that technology can be, I mean, everyone's using it in their business, but it spans way outside of like what you know about too, and just staying secure and safe is what we do best. So we're here as your local IT provider. So if you want to jump to the next slide, Lindsay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Just, I think they'll come up as you guys start using the tools and learn more about how they affect your specific industry. So we'll get to the prize drawing. Lindsay had the great idea to include wearable AI. This is a tool that I wasn't even familiar with, but you can wear it just right on your collar when you're at like a conference or in a meeting, or you know, if you have a student in school even that struggles with note taking or just taking it all in, the wearable AI can keep track of those conversations and then document notes and action items. Yeah, it's incredible technology. Someone just put in the questions panel. Thank you, Julie. So yeah, it's valued at $99, and then we have some CorKat swag for you as well. So our winner today was, I did the prize wheel before we started, so we'd have it, Nellie Morales. So if she's still on the call, she is our winner today of the wearable AI and some CorKat swag. So thank you all again for being here. We really enjoyed chatting with you about AI, and if you have ideas for the next webinar and what you want to learn more about in the technology industry, let me know. I love the feedback. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.